Um, Very interesting. Very interesting. It's been good. We're here. That's the main thing. Guys have been working hard. We've been progressing, and we get 3 weeks away now or so from the start of the season. So that's exciting. That's exciting.
What are your takeaways so far from the transfers that are on the roster? Kamwa, Burnett, Jackson.
Yeah, it's good to have a veteran group of guys. They bring a level of maturity to the locker room. They bring a level of experience, especially with Namari and Olivier in terms of winning championships, postseason play, playing at a high level, coming from high-level institutions. So they understand what the process takes to, get and be a next-level team. And so we're going to draw on them for that.
All three of those guys are big and long. How has that helped your guys' defense? Some of the guys last week were saying that they feel like this team will be better on defense.
Yeah, it's helped tremendously. Their length, their athleticism, guys like Trey Jackson, who, and all of them actually, who can guard multiple positions. It allows us to do some things defensively to cause some disruption. I think and hope that that's going to be a strength of ours in terms of our ability to kind of mix and match some lineups on both sides of the ball. So the connectivity, is going to be critical for us as we move forward with guys playing multiple positions and having to guard multiple positions. So, but that's a good thing. I think that could be a really good thing for us.
How's Jalen doing? Is he participating with you guys at all yet, or is it?
Oh yeah, Jalen's doing great. He's been with us. He's been participating with us in a non-contact form since this summer. Every day that he's out on the floor is a great day for us. I know he's getting close to taking those next steps. I think he's just waiting on the doctor to kind of give him full release in terms of more contact stuff. But what we've seen from him thus far has been awesome. The guys have responded well. I believe Jalen is in a good headspace in terms of where he's at, so that's a good thing.
Last year, a lot of those minutes when he went down were eaten up by Doug. What does the backcourt split kind of look like this year with him back and Amari coming in, obviously, as well as George Washington?
Yeah, again, I think it allows us to really have some depth in the area that we didn't have as much last year. With Jalen, he's another veteran guy who's been around the block a few times. And so when he went out last year, I really felt like he was at the point where he was going to turn that corner and really settle in terms of playing at this level, getting comfortable in our system. And so to have him back, to have a guy like that, will be invaluable for our team.
How do you think that extra year being here, even if he wasn't playing, kind of benefits him as he adjusts to a Big Ten play?
I think it's going to be awesome because Jalen is a very analytical kid. He learns by watching, and so I think for him to be able to measure himself amongst the other teams in our league and what he could have done last year, I think it will add to his comfort level. But then just, again, another veteran guy in the locker room. All of those guys have been great for George Washington. They've done a good job of trying to mentor him and bring him along. They see his talent, and they know that George is going to be able to help us this year. And so it's been great to see he and Dougie, Namari really step up in a leadership role for a kid like George.
Talk a little bit more about George. You said he's going to be great this year. They're seeing a lot of potential. What is it that you see? I know at Media Day, talk about how good of a scorer he is.
Yeah, someone said in our I think it was Chris Hunter said in our staff meeting the other day, he has a high care factor. And when you have a kid, most freshmen, they walk in the door, they don't know what they don't know. So their mind is going, 100 miles an hour, and a lot of stuff is coming at them. And George has done a tremendous job of just taking it all in. He's in film sessions every day with one of the coaches. He processes at a good level. And that's before we even talk about his skill set, his ability to score the ball, to shoot the ball. And so, we have I think we're really pleased with the progression that he's been on thus far.
Speaking of progression, a lot of young guys made a lot of impact last year. McDaniel, Terrace Reed, Will Cheddar. Now that they have another year into the program under their belt, how are you seeing them now improve going into this year?
No, it's been great. I think all those guys have had a great spring and summer. Doug and Terrace specifically stayed the whole time, working on their body, working on their game, academically, like just making that jump from year one to year two. Will, with his being in his third year, I think he's really now settled in terms of his role, just the system. And again, for us to be good, it's going to be a collective effort. And those three for sure are going to be part of that.
When you say Will's role, does that mean he's going to be more of a 5 more this year with Dickinson being gone, or is he still going to be in the 4 spot?
I think he will be able to float between both, wherever we need him to be. And again, adding to the versatility of the team, that goes in line with that. And so Will is a plug and play type of guy. And, he's one that has a great attitude. Even from his leadership standpoint, he's really taken some steps forward. And so that's been exciting to see because he's a kid that works his tail off.
Speaking of leadership, have you seen a clear-cut main leader on this team, or is it kind of like you said, like an older group of guys? They're all kind of stepping up into that role.
Yeah, I think everybody is really trying to use their voice, pick their spots, and use their voice. You got Jace, you got Will. Like I said, Doug's voice is growing. Olivier, big voice, big personality, and has done a good job of immersing himself into our culture and into our space. So the connectivity of the team has been good. I think they've done a good job of doing the mental work and personal work over the summer amongst one another, so that now in this time in the fall and going into the season, they can really have that synergy amongst one another.
Saddi, this is a very different team than the one that walked off the court 213 days ago at Vanderbilt for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge?
I wouldn't say the challenge, because I think every year, whether you have a bunch of returners or a new squad, so to speak, a new team is a new season, right? Or a new season is a new team. So you have developing personalities, developing skill sets that we as a staff have to figure out how to blend together. And Coach Jawan is awesome at identifying, kind of the personality of the team, as well as the skill set of the team, and coaching to that strength, and then growing the areas that we need to grow.
How much have you spoken to him? Have you seen him? Can you kind of just give us an update on his mood, his energy, his current situation?
Yeah, well, I would imagine if you know Coach, you would know that he's pretty anxious to get back to these young men, and we can't wait to see him walk down the hall. He hasn't been in the office. We've really just tried to give him the space to, get himself ready, because we're in this for the long game, and he's anxious to get back, and we're ready for him to be back when he's ready. And but until then, we're going to continue to forge forward, do what he's would want us to do, as coach us to do. And personally, I think that the way that we model his leadership is by being prepared when he gets back. And I think, just based on, what are we, 2 or 3 weeks, 3 weeks into practice now, I think we're at a good pace. We obviously have a lot of work to do, but every day is a step closer to getting better.
When you lose a player like Hunter Dickinson, is the thought we need to replace him or we need to adapt?
Well, I think when you lose a player like Hunter Dickinson, Kobe Buffkin, Jet Howard, yes, there's going to be some level of filling those gaps. But through recruiting, we think we got the right guys in the locker room. As I said, the progression in our development thus far, I feel like we're on pace. And anytime where there's a vacuum, whether it's through attrition, through graduation, somebody has to step up. And I think we got the right group of guys that will to fill those holes.
Who do you think is going to be the biggest surprise by the start of the season, whether it's a new guy or a returner who made a big jump? Who do you think is going to surprise the most people right away?
That's a great question. I don't know, because like everybody has their day, and that's kind of the personality of the team. I think this is going to be by committee, and I don't know that there's just one dominant player in the team. It's just that we're going to be leaning on night in on night out. It's going to be a collective effort, and honestly, those are the more well-balanced teams that you have. I think those teams have a chance to be special.
So no leading candidate for that, or a couple guys you think it might be?
By committee.
Saddi, you're a Lansing Sexton guy.
I am.
Your dad played for Michigan State.
He did.
Michigan State. Okay, you've been here a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Where are you at in amazing blue versus green and white? Are you
Well,
set? Amazing blue all the way?
That's an easy question. That's amazing blue.
All right.
Amazing blue all day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much is the impact of the, obviously Tom Izzo very well.
Yeah.
And he comes up to the football program as part of his basketball team's identity.
Yeah.
How about with the Michigan basketball feeding off the Michigan football season?
Always, those guys have had a great season, and we have a great relationship with the football staff. I know Coach Jawan and Coach Harbaugh, are constantly in sync with one another, and we try to connect with some of the assistants on the other side, working together in all aspects. And I think it's great that we're able to feed off of the momentum that the football team has right now. We're excited, for their success. And I think it's hopefully just setting the tone of where we can launch into as we get our season started soon.
Any prediction for Saturday?
For this Saturday, for the
Yeah.
football game?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Wolverine win for sure.
No worries.
Listen, if you can't stand 10 toes down with your team, you need to get out the room. And so, there's no question who we're rooting for. We're confident our guys will go in there with the right attitude, with the right mindset, and the thought is, yes, we will come out on the victorious side.
How has Terrace stepped up since Hunter left and kind of taken ownership of that opportunity he has at center?
I think he's really embraced it. He's had a front row seat last year, really competing against and competing with Hunter. And I think that has really grew him in a lot of ways. And so when he made the commitment to stay here over the spring and summer and really work on his game and develop himself, you can see his progression now as a guy, anchoring it down for us in the post. So we're really excited, for the season that he can have for us, and we're going to be leaning on him. And but that's a good thing.
Where do you think he's grown the most from this spring?
I think his consistency, his patience, around the basket, kind of letting things develop around him and then getting himself in position, for scoring opportunities. I would say that those are the most scoring. And, physically, he's really done a good job of getting his body not in shape, but just more lean. And so, yeah, that should help him also moving forward.
I think it's been almost a decade since you guys have had only a one-man freshman class.
Mm-hmm.
What's the dynamic like? Is it almost like an only child type of situation? What is it like with having one new guy and everybody else? I mean, there are a few other new guys from other
Yeah.
schools, but one guy that's new to college basketball.
Yeah, that's going to be a great question for George. For us, we collectively just try to grow the young men that are in the locker room. So I don't know. It's weird because I didn't even really look at it like that, because in some regards, at least from my perspective, I even look at the transfers that way, because we want them to have a freshman mindset in terms of taking everything in that we're trying to teach them. You know, the system, the terminology, the work ethic, the culture, but also have the veteran mindset, right? And so from that standpoint, they're still first year program guys to Michigan, but in terms of the transfers, they're, you know, veteran guys to college basketball. But I think the awesome thing too, again, as I mentioned, guys have done a good job of rallying around George and trying to, you know, grow him and bring him up to speed and grow his learning curve as quickly as possible.
What does having an experienced team do for you guys on the floor? I mean, they've talked a lot about late game situations. Like, do you think it could help there, or what other ways do you feel like that could be?
Yeah, we hope so. You know, with guys who have been through the paces, so to speak. You know, there's a level of consistency and discipline that you got to have in those moments, and hopefully having guys who have kind of seen those actions before, been in those really high tense situations, that they have the composure to finish. You know, that's a big thing. We have to finish, you know, a lot of what we started this year.
Coach, going back to the freshmen, there were some expectations that there might be a second one coming in. Is that still a possibility? What are things looking like there, Lee?
Yeah, we're just waiting, you know, for some logistical stuff to happen. But as of now, you know, we're forging forward with the group that we have. If it ends up coming to fruition, that would be awesome. And if it doesn't, you know, we will continue to, you know, get the young men that are in that locker room ready to have a great season.
Saddi, last week you were in Minneapolis. You were the spokesperson for Michigan basketball. What was that like? And then also along those lines, Michigan picked 11th in the Big Ten. I can't remember the last time they were picked that low. How is that?
Neither can I. Neither can I. And
How's
I've
that
been here
resonating?
going on 8 years now.
How's that resonate? Well, first of all, the experience, and then how's that resonate with your team as far as?
Yeah, the experience was awesome. When Coach Jawan reached out and asked me to represent the program, represent he and the program, I was honored, but also, you know, kind of having the mentality that we have for our guys, the next man up mentality. And so I thought it was fun. You know, a lot of the head coaches there, you know, obviously, you know, were thinking about Jawan, sending their well wishes. But, you know, being in front of you guys on a fairly consistent basis, I feel comfortable and prepared to be in that environment. In terms of projections, you know, it's the preseason for a reason. You know, there are no awards
Is
given
that a
out.
plus, actually, a motivational plus?
You know, we talk to our guys looking at it from the standpoint of real competitors don't need external motivation, right? The motivation has to come internally. So whether you're picked first or whether you're picked 11th, like if we don't have the internal motivation to be our best and go out and compete at the highest level, then from my perspective, you don't get the same, you know, you don't have the same, it's not the same attitude. And so our guys have done a tremendous job of just showing up every day, towing the line, and coming to work. And when the dust settles come March, we'll see how closely those predictions are or not.
How's Terrence Williams' game grown over the offseason?
He's been great. He's been great. T. Will has done an awesome job of making some tweaks, you know, with his shot. He's come back a more consistent shooter. You know, he's another veteran guy in the locker room that's so poised, so multi-dimensional for us. We're going to really need him in a lot of areas, and I think he's really embraced that. And so I'm excited, and we're excited to see him, you know, compete and do some things at a higher level for us this year.
Do you see anything specific he changed with his shot?
Yeah, he's made some tweaks in terms of shot mechanics, and I think as a result of that it's helped with the consistency of his shot. But he's always been a hard-working kid, And you know, hopefully, you know, a month from now when we transition to games, you know, all that, you know, continues. But he's done a really good job of making the necessary adjustments, you know, coming into this season.
Some of the longest tenured guys on the team, like Jace, like Williams, they're not necessarily like the biggest scorers, but they're pretty vocal leaders. What's that balance like when you have the guys who've been there for a long time who might not always be the ones putting the ball in the hoop, but they're the ones getting their team's heads right?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's always important where you can have some guys in the locker room who understand the culture, understand the standard, and can speak to the standard when things are going really well and when things are at a low point. And Jace and T. Will, you know, guys that have been around, you know, for a few years, they know what it's like to compete and win a championship. They know what it's like to advance to an Elite Eight. And so having that experience and having those voices in the room is critical for us.